Got 4 cages, 2 pitching lanes, and then we've got a lot of workout equipment, fitness equipment, strength and conditioning. And we're finding that a lot of high school players are up there. They're getting their weightlifting done after school, and then they'll jump in the cage and get their reps in. And we tried to make it really affordable.
Welcome to Triple Falls Studio for episode 9 of 24/7 Diamond Talk. I'm Tom Richards. I'm here with 24/7 Ball Sports co-founder Matt Mangulis and resident baseball expert Chris Willert here.
Wow, I'm an expert, huh?
Yeah, we got an exciting episode to talk about playoffs in high school softball and baseball. So I think I'll get us going here and talk through the section final games. Our last episode was taped, I think, right before the section final games up at Caswell for the softball. So quick rundown. A lot of local teams did well, obviously, and we swept them with the local teams winning each section title. So in section 2A, USC had to beat New Ulm Cathedral twice, and they did in the first game, 2-0, to force a deciding take-all game, and then New Ulm Cathedral beat them 4-0 at the end. Mariah just kind of ran out of gas there for USC, but she's did a great job pitching. Ava Schmidt hit a 2-run single for Cathedral. And then 7th grader Jade Altermat pitched a 1-hitter.
That was unreal. Absolutely unreal.
Perfect game into the 7th inning. So congrats, Jade. You got a bright future. So
absolutely. I've known her dad since he was probably
really?
13, 14.
Yeah, she's got an unusual windup. But
well, I'll just say this. That whole Altermat family and extended family, they are athletes, period. I mean, they are all over the place. So
that
not surprised.
That earned the Greyhounds #1 seed in the state tournament. They opened up state tournament with an 8-1 win over Kelleher Northome, I think. And Altermat came in relief there and pitched 5 innings of relief, no hits, no runs. And they won 8-1. Made it to the semifinals and beat RTR, Russell Tyler Ruthven, 4-2. Jenna Hodovec went 3 for 3. Altermat threw a 3-hitter. No, that was a 3-hitter in relief, the game 1 for her. Not sure what she did in game 2. But and then in the state championship game, Cathedral 10-4 over Clinton Graceville Beardsley, CGB. Abby Hillesheim hit her second home run of the tournament. Hodovec went 4 for 5, and Brennan went 3 for 5. Ava Brennan, I believe. So they ended the year 26-2, New Ulm Cathedral, and that was their 8th championship overall, the most of anybody in the state ever. And so congrats to the Greyhounds. Great season, 26-2. Moving on to Section 2 AA. Section final was Lake Crystal Welcome Memorial, 4-3 over Belle Plaine. 3 game into the 7th, Brooke Burgemeister hit a home run to tie it in the 7th for Belle Plaine. I think her 7th home run of the year. She's having a great year. Used to play Peppers for a few years. But in the 7th, Avery Vogus got a walk-off hit that scored her sister, Ella Vogus. Also, both played Peppers, fall ball. I coached them for several years, so that was great to see for me. And Lake Crystal beats Belle Plaine, advances the state tournament. Belle Plaine would have had to beat them twice, but they had a good rivalry brewing there the last few years. Lake Crystal earns the 2 seed at the state tournament. They open up 7-1 win over Dassel Colcado. Semifinals, they're playing St. Cloud Cathedral, highly ranked team with a good record, and Lake Crystal wins 8-3. They led 4-0 in that game, and then it became 4-3, and then Grace Thorson bailed them out kind of with 3-run homer. So she's a number 9 hitter, young player, I think maybe 9th grade. But Avery Vogus, 6.1 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 walk, no runs, 6 Ks. Julia Montgomery went 2 for 3. Jillian Hansen went 2 for 3, and Ella Vogus went 2 for 4 in that game. And that put him in the state championship against the Randolph Rockets, who were a machine, defending state champions in Class A, got moved up to AA. They got the Gatorade Player of the Year pitching for him, Carter Raymond. She's a junior, undecided on where she's going to go to college, but a heck of a player. Randolph ends up beating Lake Crystal 3-0. 4-hitter from Raymond. Vogus threw a 6-hitter. On the all-tourney team, both Vogus sisters, Avery and Ella and Grace Thorson, made the state all-tournament team. Lake Crystal Knights end up 23-3, so just a heck of a year for them, and the best finish they've ever had in the history of that school. They've only made the state tournament one time previously, and that was in 2009. And they got back there again, and they made it to state finals this time. On to Section 2, 3A. Mankato East beat New Ulm 2-1 in 10 innings. Quite an exciting game. They had an exciting game in the section undefeated finals. And this was New Ulm battled back, beat Marshall 1-0, got back in, played East, and it went 10 innings. Jada Swallow hit a walk-off single, scoring Kenley Staunton, who had singled on a push bunt with 2 strikes. She called time, went down and talked to Madsen, and I think they discussed it, and he said, if you're feeling like it, let's do it. And she pushed it right by the shortstop.
I remember seeing that going, she's bunting with 2 strikes.
Yeah, and that was the leadoff
Wow.
in the 10th, and that was great. And then great sacrifice bunt by Maddie Beatty. Stengel then intentionally walked. And so they had first and second set up for Jada Swallow, who's had a tremendous year for Mankato East, and she hits the walk-off single. Stengel ended up with 13 Ks and led her team back to the state tournament for the second year in a row. East earned this 3 seed, open up state tournament 16-2 over North Branch. It was 10-0 after the first inning. The state record is 11
that was
runs in
ugly.
an inning. But North Branch had upset, I think, Chisago Lakes earlier in the section. Chisago's pitcher was down.
Weren't they like 6-13 coming into their
Yeah.
section tournament
They
or
had a
something?
losing record,
you
I
know?
think. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that. I think it was.
1-11 in the section or in their conference.
Yeah, 1-11.
Yeah.
I thought somebody said it was 1-13 in the conference,
It was
because they were 4 and something
for something.
before sections.
I talked to
Because they were
Brenda
1 and something.
Brenda
conference.
Carlson, who's the coach at Chisago Lakes, who won that section last year
Yeah.
and met East in the finals. I just talked to her yesterday, and she said their pitcher went down. She's a junior too. This junior class of pitchers in Minnesota is loaded.
Yeah.
And so that's one reason they didn't make it. But
Yeah.
but anyway, North Branch was no match for the Cougars. Haley Petzel, 3 for 3 with a home run, 5 RBIs. Kenley Staunton, the 7th grader, 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs. So they kind of led the way in the first round. Then it set up a highly anticipated rematch with number 2 seed Winona. We were wondering who was going to get the 2 or the 3, Winona or East. Winona beat East during the year 4-3. Wasn't one of East's better played games then. But anyway, it was deserving 2 seed, I think. But and Cretin Durham Hall had gotten the 1 seed, who had also beat East 1-0 in 9 innings. So those 3 were kind of at the top.
One of the softball dads had referred to this whole postseason for East as the revenge tour.
Yeah, they played a murderous schedule, really tough, and they had
Right.
to face. I don't know how many games and how many days, but without their shortstop, Emily Hacker went down, and so they had to shuffle the lineup a little bit and play their toughest in-season competition there. So they weren't quite at their best when they took some of those losses on. But anyway, taking on Winona ends up to be a 5-0 win for East. It was 0-0 till the 3rd inning. Kenley Staunton hits her first career home run, makes it 1-0. Huge hit. Swallow RBI single after that. It's 2-0. Then Petzel, a 2-run homer, make it 4-0, all in the 3rd inning. So a huge 3rd inning for East there.
Staunton's she crushed that thing.
Yeah.
But did you see Petzel's?
Yeah.
Because it went off the glove, off
Yeah,
the
that was
fence.
barely,
I mean,
yeah. She can hit them further. And
I know she can.
She did the next day. But
I told Kyle,
Yeah.
just tell your daughter to hit a little harder next time.
meanwhile, so the Cougars got a 4-0 lead on Winona, but Stengel's got 9 Ks through 4 innings at the same time. So they're rolling on both sides of the ball. Harper Stengel had 4 stolen bases through 4 innings. The
Gee, I
state
didn't
record
realize
is 5 in a game, in a
wow.
state tournament game. So one off of the state record there. But and then Kylan Stengel hit a sac fly in the 6th to make it 5-0, which was the final score. Stengel had a 2-hit shutout, 16 strikeouts. Like, unbelievable. The kid stepped up in the big time game, which she did last year, and she's doing it again this year. Emily Hacker went 2 for 3. Maddie Beatty went 2 for 4. Sends East to the finals against Cretin Durham Hall. They end up winning the state title again, back to back. They win 6-1, but it was looking not so hot for a while. In the bottom of the 4th, a 2-out single by Cretin Durham Hall made it 1-0. And then it stayed that way till the 6th. In the 6th inning, Beatty's on base and Stengel hits a towering fly ball to left field, and it looks like it's going to be gone, and we're going to go up 2-1 late in the game. And their left fielder, I think Avery Michaels maybe is her name, but she made a great catch, knocked the fence down a little bit, and just right at the fence. So I don't know if it would have been out or not. Maybe it was a little bit too high, but it was a exciting play for sure. And then, but after that let the wind out of East sails just for one inning, and we go to the top of the 7th. We're trailing by 1. We got 4, 5, 6 coming up, and it's like we got to scrape 1 together at least here to keep it going. And Petzel's leading off, so she had hit a home run 2 games previously, and she leads off with an absolute bomb to right center. It made it over by probably 20 feet, and the crowd went nuts after that because now we're tied with still no outs in the 7th. And then the wheels started to fall off for Cretin, and East really got to play their small ball. They couldn't really play it most of the game because all their hits were with 2 outs.
Right.
And they knew they wanted to do that against this Cretin team. That's kind of their weakness, is fielding some small ball. They knew that from last year. And they finally got the next person on base after Haley. Emily Hacker reached on an error. Carly Weniger sacrificed her. She went all the way to third. Destiny Reeser squeezed it in. So another senior gets the game-winning RBI on a suicide squeeze. Harper Stengel finishes that up with a squeeze that scores 2 runs because they had a little snowball fight after that. So back-to-back squeezes, scores 3 runs for East. Then Stoughton gets a base hit. Beatty gets a base hit. Kylan intentionally walked. Then Jada Swalv sac fly made it 5-1. Then Petzel comes back around again, 10th batter of the inning. She gets intentionally walked again to load the bases. And then Hacker gets another RBI single. So 6-1, sending 12 to the plate when they absolutely had to have at least 1. They get 6. So on to the bottom of the 7th.
I just want to say, like, that whole top of the 7th. So I'm sitting over there in New Ulm watching East versus West play baseball. Yep. And I'm following it on Game Changer. We're going to the 7th, and I'm down 1-0. Oh, all right. All of a sudden, Petzel. And I said something to a few people around me. So, now we're cheering and we're watching that. We're half watching the game, half watching that. That was the craziest thing to ever follow on Game Changer because I couldn't hear radio, so I didn't turn it on. But to follow that on Game Changer, like literally, it's like on the last play, error, this. And I was like,
whoever was keeping Game Changer, they had some issues probably.
They had their work cut out for them
because they were so excited too.
Right?
Just every insurance run that you get there is just huge, and
absolutely.
It's a state championship game. So that was quite the inning. So we go to the bottom of the 7th. Cretin-Durham Hall starts with a single, and then it looks like another single drops into left field, but Harper Stengel gets the force at second. So base running mistake there. We get the force, so that kid gets a fielder's choice in the state tournament instead of a single, and she drops one in. So now there's 1 out, just a runner on first. Kylan strikes out the next girl. So there's 2 outs, runner on first. Next one's a little weak grounder to Haley Petzel at first base. She takes it unassisted, gets the out. East wins, and they're throwing their hats and gloves, stuff in the air. Haley ends up going 2 for 3 that game. Kenley 2 for 3. Beatty 2 for 3. East finishes the year 20-6. All tourney team: Kylan Stengel, Haley Petzel, Kenley Stoughton, and Maddie Beatty. So that was the whirlwind of the section finals and the state tournament for these 3 local teams. I got a little bit more on that a little bit later here, but I think we'll go to Chris with some baseball.
Oh man, where do I start? Well, Loyola, about a week and a half ago, they wrapped up their season, ended up top 4 in the section. Section 2A, that's really impressive because of the depth in that section itself. I think they had like 6 teams in the top 15 at one point. And I think it was 8 in the top 20, So when you look at it from the Class A perspective, holy cow, that section is absolutely stacked. But they ended up losing to a tough New Ulm Cathedral team, and Springfield ended up winning that section. So good luck to Springfield coming up this week in the state tournament itself. I'm going to spend a few minutes and just talk AAA, I guess. So we're going to go right to 2 AAA. I had made the comment, and I. Obviously, I make sure we cover both teams and stuff like that. But for those that don't know, I'm sorry, my son plays for East, so there's a little bit of a bias there. I can't help that. That's the way it is. But at the beginning of the season, looking at it, West was the preseason. They were ranked, 2 or 3 right away at the beginning of the season. We were somewhere 10 or something like that. And I got to be honest, I thought maybe we were a little overrated at the time. And at one point I thought maybe they're a little underrated, but I had made the comment, and I think it was the first podcast that I was on. So episode 2, I have to go back and find it. And I think I said East has a chance. On paper, West is clearly the better team, but East has a chance because they don't play on paper. And that's kind of what ended up happening here. Two incredibly balanced teams. Throughout, I mean, by the end of the season here, long story short, to skip right to it, we ended up playing 5 times. One team won 3 and the other one won 2. The first 2 games were 3-2, 3-2. The section playoff games ended up a little bit more. We ended up winning, 6-1 or 6-1, 6-0 in the 2 that we won, but lost 4-1. When you start looking at total runs and stuff like that, wow, talk about a high level of baseball here in Mankato right now. And I mean, it's pretty amazing to sit and watch it, I guess. This is the first time. We've always had years where West has, been a top 5 team in the state, or East has been a top 5 team in the state. 2 years ago, West ended up, state runner-ups. And every now and then we'd get another team to state here and there. But we've never had, I don't think there's ever been a season in Mankato where all 3 high schools overall have been at the level of quality that we've got right now. And it's not over. I'm telling you, it's not over when you look at what's coming up and stuff like that. East, yes, we win the section, but, we have 2 seniors. We're only graduating 2 guys. West, you look at it and you go, all right, well, they're graduating a lot, but they're graduating about 4 or 5 starters. And so they've got a lot of starters coming back, and they've got a lot of talent and depth coming back. Same thing with Loyola. So as far as the section itself, I think the last time we were on, we had just East had just beaten Jordan in the section tournament. So everybody was heading to New Ulm. It was going to be West versus Albert Lee and East versus Marshall. And quite frankly, I'm not even going to spend any time on either of those 2 games because both teams did what we expected them to do, which was East won, and East won based on great pitching and defense. I think we managed to put up like 5 runs in that game. West kind of did what they did, and they just beat it was one of those, like, the score wasn't that they beat them that bad, but they beat Albert Lee. It was never really a close game. So that set up the big showdown itself in the section semifinals. East versus West, round 3. And from my perspective, it didn't disappoint. Mm-hmm. How about that? It ended up being Nate Bridger went 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 run, 6 Ks. And then Owen Stoopman, couple innings to close the whole thing out. 1 hit, no runs. Our pitching this year that's been what's carried us. Yeah. And I know I said it somewhere down the line here. Pitching and defense is how we're getting it done. And from there, if we can just get to 3 in a game, if we score 3 runs, I feel like we've got a decent chance. And in that game, we got to 3, and hey, things were good. Mager's not his best outing in that one. We hit him. Likewise, only one of the runs that he gave up was earned. He gave up 4 runs, but only 1 earned. Also, he only walked 3, and he struck out 11. So it was kind of the errors in that one that kind of did them in, and we played a clean game in that one. So that was kind of the difference there. In fact, West ended up making 5 errors to our 1 in that game, and that, quite frankly, was kind of the difference in the game. So then, so we win. We advance to the championship game. West had to go back and play Marshall, who we had beat previously. West beats Marshall like we expected. And that set up the Friday showdown. Obviously, that was the day after graduations for everybody and stuff like that. We go into it. East knows, all right, we only need to win 1. West needs to win 2. It's one of those that, if anybody says from an East perspective that they were confident going in, like, it's one thing to be confident, but at the same time, we're all kind of like, nothing is a given.
You're playing a team that can beat you.
Absolutely. You're playing a great team. And in game 1, Kaylor Chamberlain threw a great game. He beat us 4-1. As I said, we didn't get to 3 in that game, so we didn't have a chance. And at the point where we were sitting at 1 late in the game, I'm like, yeah, just get this done. I was kind of like, let's go. Let's get this one over with and just kind of move on to the next one. But yeah, Chamberlain pitched great. In fact, 6.2 innings pitched. The only reason he had to come out for that last out was due to pitch count. Literally ran, just barely missed it. So otherwise he'd have had a complete game on that one. But 4-1 win for West in that one. So
how long of a break then?
It was about 25 minutes. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's turn around and go again. So grab a hamburger and here we go. And in that one, in the previous couple of games, Bridger and Owen Stoopman, everybody kind of knows who they are from a pitching perspective for us and Nick Work. we threw a freshman. And there again, as he walked out on the mound in the first inning, because we didn't, none of us parents know who's going to start or whatever.
And what was that freshman's record this year?
I think he was 1-0 or something like that.
Tough call there for Micah.
He had pitched a few times. Keaton Wojcik took the mound, and he looked great in the first inning. And I'm like, all right, well, we got 1 inning out of him. And all I kept thinking in my head right then is, God, could we get 4 innings out of him in this game? Because if we could get 4, then hey, that would be great. And as the game went on, well, first of all, we got to that 3 number that I told you we needed to get to, and Keaton just kept rolling. And by the time it was done, freshman section championship game against the crosstown rival, 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, 4 Ks, no walks.
Complete game.
2-hit shutout.
Yeah, some kids can just rise to the occasion.
And and again, I mean, so the pitching was there and the defense was there. I mean, when I look at our defense all the way around, Caden Willard and Nick Work turned a double play up the middle that, I'm sorry, high school kids don't turn. You don't see it. It was one of those, Caden's kind of deep, but at the same time close enough that he can't fire as hard as he can, except he realizes it's Nick and he does fire it as hard as he can.
It's got to be on the money then.
And it was on the money, and literally, as Nick is catching it, his dad's sitting next to me going, eat it. I'm like, Nick ain't eating that.
No.
Double play by half a step. Jack Hansen out and right. He tracked a couple of balls down that I'm like, off the bat, I'm like, oh, crap. And all of a sudden, there he is. Carson Hart did the same thing in center field, and Caden Hansen did the same thing over at left. You just went, holy cow. There was a couple of bunts defended and stuff by Zach Bossy. He's charging in, Stoopman picked everything that there was to pick. And behind the plate, Austin Henley, he's been doing a phenomenal job. When you're a catcher and you got guys throwing breaking balls, your number one job is literally just don't let the ball go to the backstop. And he's done a great job not letting the ball go to the backstop, because when you got guys like Wojcik and Owen and Bridger that got good breaking balls and stuff like that, they want to be able to throw that ball in the dirt, and you need to be able to let them throw that ball in the dirt. And that's why I say our defense is literally what's gotten us here, our pitching and our defense. And our pitching is good because of our defense, and our defense is good because of our pitching. So now we head into the state tournament, and I say it again, can we get to 3? And,
2 seed?
We are the 2 seed. We got Grand Rapids, who was unseeded. They were number 8 or 9 in the QRF. Also on our side is Matamidi. Matamidi been there a few times in the last few years, as far as like state runner-ups and stuff like that. So they're the 2. Benilde is the 1. QRF-wise, we're still number 5, with number 1 being Benilde, 2 being Matamidi, I believe, 3 West, and 4 Grace, I think is what it was, Tina Grace. And somebody had asked me, they're like, well, if we're the 5 in the QRF, how did we get the 2 seed? And I think a lot of it probably had to do with the fact that had West beat us in the section tournament, I think they'd have been the 1 seed, because they had already pounded Benilde a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, 10-0. So I think the fact that we beat the team that probably would have been the 1 seed is what got us the 2. So 10 a.m. Thursday, Chaska Athletic Park. If we win that, play Friday at noon or 12:30, I forget which one. And if we win that, we get to go Monday to Target Field at 4:30 p.m. And man, it doesn't get much better than that. So
yeah, and maybe next episode we may talk about who ended up getting all state tourney team, if you can win a couple.
Yep.
So we got some good news coming with baseball.
It's a great time to be a baseball fan in Mankato.
Yeah, for sure. So I got a couple things here for softball. The Hall of Fame banquet and the All-Star banquet was just the other day, here yesterday actually, and Coach Don Kruzmark from West got in the State Hall of Fame as a coach. So congrats. To Don. And as a player, Molly Bean Becker now from Mankato Loyola. So congrats to her. So
played with my sister.
Only 4 people got in, and two from Mankato, basically. So
that's impressive.
So that's pretty cool. And then the State All-Star game, we had Madeline Bodie, Brooklyn Gertis, Haley Petzel, Kaya Helget, who used to be a Pepper and played for New Ulm Cathedral, Caitlin Tower, who played Peppers for a while, and she's a Sleepy Eye player, Morgan Gregerson from LeSueur Henderson, Natalie Bianchi, and Gracie Limbo from New Ulm all made the All-Star game for seniors. So Matt, I want to talk a little bit about Peppers National. You guys are getting rolling right now, or I want you to fill us in on what's going on with that team. It's about ready to kick off.
Yeah, their season is going to start now that high school softball's over. So Grace Valand is getting everybody going, and she's really running the show there. She's organizing it. She did batting practices and practices with the team and kind of organize everything. So anymore, I just kind of pay the bills and try to pay attention when she tells me to do. But picked up another player for the team. I'll have to get you all the names and everything for that for the whole team. But
Right.
it's an all-star team, though, I would say, for sure. We've got some East and West players there, both from great high school teams, and Mariah from USC. So quite the pitching core there. One player injured. Hopefully she makes a correct recovery and comes back there in pitching, because otherwise team could use another pitcher. But this weekend's their first tournament in Peoria, Illinois. I have on there, they play Chicago Ravens and Crushers Elite, which I don't know where they're out of, but the Louisville Slugger complex is quite the complex, all turf.
Awesome,
and actually they've got an indoor dome on the same campus. Bradley University plays there as well. So they have a championship field. They have multiple, I don't know if it's quite a wheel, maybe it's a wheel with 4 or 5 fields and then 2 indoor. So if it's actually 1 indoor, but it's got a restaurant and a bar in the dome. It's quite the place.
And in there,
but,
yeah, Bradley.
So
They
yeah,
have those storage units or whatever that open up, and they sell Louisville Slugger stuff also. It's like a store on.
yeah, they do.
Nice.
They have
Certain
they have a
fields.
big field or merchandise store right there on I'll call it the campus, but the Louisville Slugger campus. So that's the first one, and then S&C Showcase opens up the next one, and that's easily the largest showcase in the Upper Midwest, I would say.
Did you get your schedule for that yet?
We do have our schedule. I don't know all the teams
Yeah.
that were faced yet. Grace emailed it out today to all, so I'll put something out on that.
Yeah, I
probably
just
next
got
week,
ours.
but-
We're in the 14U, so we
Yep.
play at Northview in Egan, and then Eastview Varsity Fields. That's where they have the 14s, but the 16s will be at Arnson. I believe.
Yeah, they're going to be at Arnson, what it looked
There
like.
should be
but,
lots of
or
coaches
Arnson,
there.
However you say that, but lots of coaches for the day before will be the showcase day. I don't know how many coaches he got this year, but I want to say he's got 20 plus D1 coaches coming in. He's got 20 plus, maybe even 30 on the D2 side, and probably another 30 or 40 on the D3 side, NAI and JUCOs. But there's lots of opportunity to get seen at that showcase.
Yeah,
So
a lot of pool
Yeah.
games this year, and then single limb, right? Because they
Yeah.
were short a few fields, but still
Yes.
90-minute games. So
yeah,
that's
it's
good.
still
Sean runs a good tourney.
he runs a good tourney. It's going to be it is 4 pool and then single limb, which you get your money's worth there with all the
Right.
teams and all the coaches coming in. It's close to home. You don't have to stay a hotel. So either way, I probably should say that he could up the price and we'd all be happy still, because it's such a good tournament. But anyway, so that's what they've got going. Just going to get started practices, and then they have a scrimmage June 25th up on the championship field there. I'll call it, or Bethany Field. I don't know what we call it anymore. Is it Bethany Field or what is
Thomas
it?
One.
Thomas One.
Thomas won.
So there we
And
go.
it's also Bethany's field. But
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for that update, Matt. I got a few interesting tidbits on the high school season. We talked about Mariah Anderson. She ended the year with an amazing amount of strikeouts. In fact, the second most all time in Minnesota in one season, 403. The most
That was
ever.
one season?
One season.
season.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
403. The most ever is from a Lake Crystal player, Whitney Johnson, in 2009, the year they
remember Whitney,
went to
yeah.
state. She had 435.
Oh, my Lord.
And then she left high school after her junior year and went to NDSU and started college a year early.
Oh, wow.
I didn't realize
She
that.
took her team to state her junior year, set the all-time record for strikeouts.
And that,
Smart
wow.
kid, was already graduated high school after her junior year and took off. But
Wow.
and then K's in a career for a pitcher. I just happened to look that up the other day too because I was curious. But Maddie Damon from Casson Manorville played at Purdue, and then Maddie Damon has 1,642, and Carly Brandt, number 2 all time, 1,309 from LeSueur Henderson.
Wow.
So the 2 most strikeouts in a career and the 2 most in a season are all from southern Minnesota, with Whitney and Mariah for the single season, and then Damon and Brandt for the career. So that's an interesting tidbit.
Mm-hmm.
Another impressive tidbit is Mankato East now has the most high school softball state titles for a large school, anything over Class A, between AA, AAA, 4A. Mankato East has 6 titles now. Stillwater had 5, East had 5, and now East has 6. St. Bernard's has 7 Class A school. New Ulm Cathedral has 8 Class A school. New Life Academy from Woodbury, they have 5 as a Class A school, but Stillwater and East were kind of tied at 5, and now East has 6. So the most ever titles by a big school. Lots of schools with 3. I can think of Maple River, I think, has 3. Burnsville, Rosemount.
West got 3, don't they?
West has 3, yep.
How many coaches over that 6?
2. Bob
2.
Mays has 4, and
So how
Joe
many?
Mattson has 2.
How many
Yep.
years between those 2 coaches? It's got to be like 50 years between the 2.
Oh, yeah. Joe started in the late 90s. Hi.
Well, yeah, and what's his name
We'll
was
have
there
to-
the entire time before that, basically.
Yeah,
Right from
Mays,
one to the other,
yeah.
and Mays was there for sure early 80s.
Yeah, and they won 2 or 3 in the 80s and a couple in the 90s.
Yeah.
I know in 1991 they beat Cretin-Durham Hall in the finals up in Fridley. And Jamie Sherwood was the coach for Cretin-Durham Hall then against Bob Mays. Amy Swanson was the pitcher for the Cougars.
Yep, I remember that.
1-0 in 10 innings.
Yep.
Sherwood's daughter plays for Gustavus with my daughter now. She's a pitcher
Okay.
up there. So so that's interesting. That's quite the stat, though. East people can be proud of. Most
Absolutely.
big school titles of all time. Last thing I have is just announced today, or just released. It was announced earlier, but released to the public today, was the 2024 Minnesota State High School League all-state teams. So not all tourney teams, but the all-state teams. In 3A, we'll skip the 4A for now just because we don't have a local team. But in 3A, first team all-state, Jada Swalve, Mankato
Wow.
East.
Yeah.
Congrats.
She
Had a
Good
heck
year.
of a year. She hit in the mid-400s.
Yeah.
Got some clutch hits. Again, sent them to state with that single.
Right.
Kylan Stengel, no surprise there, 2 years in a row for her first team all-state. Madeline Bodie, also no surprise there from Mankato West, just heck of an athlete. And then Ramsey Hop from New Ulm, well-deserved, great pitcher. Another one of those stud junior pitchers, along with the Nesdahl at Cretin-Durham Hall and Stengel and now Hop. I mean, so that's the 3A first team all-state. Second team in AAA, Lydia Bantz, the catcher, a young player from West. I think she's a sophomore, so
She is,
second
yeah.
team all-state. And then Brooklyn Gertis as well, who had a great year hitting and pitching for West. So congrats to those 2. And then AAA honorable mention all-state, Emily Hacker from Mankato East, also a young player, also sophomore, I believe. Yep.
Yes, she is.
And Maddie Backer from outfield or from New Ulm. So AA first team all-state, Avery Vogus. AA second team all-state, Ella Vogus. So those are quite the sisters to both get all-state. And then AA honorable mention, Morgan Gregerson, LeSueur Henderson. Class A first team all-state, Jana Hodovec, New Ulm Cathedral. Mariah Anderson, USC, first team all-state, who we mentioned. Kaya Helget, New Ulm Cathedral. She had just been honorable mention the last 2 years, and this year she gets first team all-state. Second team, Leah Bodie from Nicollet, and Ava Schmid from New Ulm Cathedral. And Class A honorable mention, Carly Prawl from MVL. So that's what I have. Matt, anything else on Royals or Peppers? I know you're a Royals coach.
Yeah, we're just getting rolling on, well, I would say just get rolling, but Royals get going a little bit earlier at the U. Same with Peppers. I see some Peppers teams did well this weekend. Peppers Fitzlav. These are all teams that are probably going to contribute to both high schools next year,
sure.
if they haven't already. But
Right.
Peppers Fitzlav, it was second place this weekend. Peppers 14U Ray was a second place. And then down the 8U, 10U, those will be future 24/7 ball sports members maybe, but third
Right.
place there, and Ferris with the second place at 10U. But those are the ones that I saw on the social media. But
Gotcha.
on the Royals, there was quite a few with some success there. The ones that I know are my son's age
Right.
group, but 14 AAA was third this weekend. And I lost a windshield in that third place game.
Oh, no.
To a foul ball?
Foul ball.
Which
Is it-
complex were you at?
We were at the Quarry. Is it Quarry Park or Quarry? But it's
Okay.
in Burnsville there. They
Yeah.
got a couple fields there.
Pull out
Yeah.
your candy cap pass again. And just
You
park
know what?
up
It's the
front.
weirdest thing. So we were kind of down
It was
to
the
the
weirdest
side.
thing. I was parked right behind the backstop.
Yeah. I parked. There was a tree and there was some shade. So I'm like, oh, tree, shade. My young son, he got a 3-year-old,
Yeah.
and he wanted to stay in the car. Yeah, it was windy, hot, and he's like, okay, well, I'll park under this tree and there'll be some protection. Well, my wife is kind of turned around and watching this game happen out the back windshield, and the foul ball comes, and she's actually looking face right up against the glass, and she said, I lost track of the foul ball.
Yeah.
It hit literally like 6 inches from her face.
Oh, geez.
And shattered the windshield, glass into her face, cut
Oh.
her face up. Yeah, cut her neck up. I mean, it was pretty.
Wow.
So they come and get me. I'm coaching. They're like, "Oh, your wife just had a foul ball and there's glass all over." I'm like, "Oh no." So,
Lord.
yeah, it wasn't as bad as it ended up. But yeah, she did get some scrapes and cuts, and the little guy had glass in his hair.
Well,
But I've never seen that before.
glad
Where it
everybody's
just
okay.
shattered the whole window. Everybody's okay, but just a freak deal. But
One little tidbit I had from East Softball State Tournament again and their titles is they did go back to back. That hadn't been done in 19 years, I think. Burnsville did it in like 04, 05. But East had done it in 88 and 89. So it had been done
Interesting.
before and
Yeah.
also by East. So Chris, what's your words of advice for East baseball this year? State tournament. And when was the last time they made the state tournament?
Let me come back to that in just a
Okay.
second, because there's one thing I got to make sure that I absolutely mention here, because this is the first time that it's ever happened, and I talk about how it's a great time to be a Mankato baseball fan. So Wilson Moggers, Minnesota baseball Gatorade baseball player
I
of the
did see
year,
that. Yep.
and that is huge. He's the
That is
first
big.
Mankato kid to ever win that. 396 student, signed to go play for Creighton. This just mentions his stats. At the time he was 6-0 with a 0.8, 74 strikeouts versus 11 walks and 43 innings pitched, as well as hitting 375 on the season. So
That's some crazy.
congratulations to Wilson Moggers, because
First time ever.
heck of a career and heck of a season. So congratulations to him. What's my advice to East? My advice is do what got you there. Pitch, play good defense, and try to get 3 stuff. You remember Earl Weaver, the manager?
Yeah.
Okay,
Fiery.
so manager of the Baltimore Orioles. His motto or whatever, it was always good pitching, good defense, and a 3-run home run.
Yep.
Well, ours is good pitching, good defense, and 3 runs.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Just
I don't think Earl
33.
and Micah have the same temperament either.
No, not at all.
I don't think. Has Micah gotten run yet this year?
He has
Out
not
of the
gotten
game?
run. I in all the games that I have watched him coach, which would be obviously, like 4 years worth of high school now, as well as then all the junior legion and VFW games that he's coached. I mean, it's in the hundreds, and I've never even seen it close. I mean, it's one of those, I kind of wish I could hear what he's saying when he goes out, because like there was a play the other day. Evan Mays from West is trying to field the ground ball. Jack Hansen's running the second. And from where I was, there's no interference at all. Now, maybe there was, but from where I was, it was clear there was not. Yet the umpire called interference, and I'm like, okay, well, he wasn't out of the baseline. I don't think he hit Evan. One person said, well, I think he hit his glove. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe. But it was one of those things where you're like, and Micah just, kind of leisurely strolls out there, and you could tell he's talking, but not a whole lot. And just all of a sudden just turns around, goes back, and we're all like, what happened? What happened? And, that's it, So he doesn't have that temperament to I can't even imagine what it would take, to be honest. I think the closest he ever came would have been a VFW tournament 2 years ago in Rochester. And if he would have gotten tossed, it would have been my fault. And I was outside the fence down the third base line.
Yeah, usually it's the person.
I said a couple of things. Basically, it was when my own son was on the mound, and my son was walking around the mound and dropped the ball. He wasn't like on the mound engaged or anything. He was just literally walking. And the one umpire said that it was a balk. Well, it is a balk if you drop the ball, if you're set to pitch, but he wasn't. I mean, it was just one of them. And the guy, I hear the umpire telling Micah one thing, and I'm like, I'm literally answering when I probably shouldn't have been, from where I'm sitting. And that was probably the closest he ever got to being tossed. And like I said, it would have been my fault.
Wow.
Yeah. I do want to give one shout out. There was a kid. We had a really hard luck case this weekend for one of our players too. Oz sliding into third, just an unfortunate accident, and broke his leg.
Ouch.
And kid is tied. Just the nicest kid you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
The sweetest boy.
What
yeah,
age group?
he is a 14 AA and just a freak deal. But that really, it was hard for the team. We ended the game right there, obviously. But I want to give a shout out. He's a strong kid, and it was the hardest thing for everybody to see. But we all want to see him get better and recover. He's a heck of a little football player too. So hopefully he gets better in time for that. But,
Right. Get healed up.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank Hoist IV Level Hydration and Willis and Triple Falls Studio here for sure. Obviously, 24/7 Ball Sports. We'll see you at the ball field or at the next episode. This is a wrap on episode 9. Thanks for
Right on.
watching.
4 cages, 2 pitching lanes, and then we've got a lot of workout equipment, fitness equipment, strength and conditioning. And we're finding that a lot of high school players are up there. They're getting their weightlifting done after school, and then they'll jump in the cage and get their reps in. And we tried to make it really affordable.